Good morning, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. Looking at YouTube this morning, BookTube, and notice it's been 3 days since I made a video. And yeah, so I thought I would. My wife left this morning to have breakfast with a friend, and I'm sitting here writing in my diary as I do every morning. It is May the 21st, 7:19 in the morning. It is hot here in West Michigan. This morning we turned on our air conditioning system to keep our cell from cooking us alive. So yeah, it's a blessing having central air. I remember when we yesterday we called the people who service our air conditioning, and we got this installed in the house in 1998 when we had our air conditioning unit installed. First couple of years we lived in this house, we just were always hot. But when you get our age, it's a blessing to have a cool cell. So yeah, so I'm sitting here writing in my diary, blowing my nose, trying to clear my throat. I already wrote a page in my 2021 diary, and I am starting now on page 571 for the year 2021. I usually write around 1,200, 300 pages a year, and I've been doing this for 40 years. Well, as I've said many times over the years in these videos, I started writing in my diary in 1968 when I was in high school. But I didn't really start writing all the time until around the mid-70s. And I told you stories about how I would, back in those days, I was homeless and I stored my diaries. One time I buried them. One time for years I stored them under the house of my first foster family's house. And then I stored them in a girlfriend's attic. And then one time I stored them in a closet in the church that I was a member of. And finally, when I left California back in 1978, 77, I burned them all. I burned all my diaries. I had this romantic notion of starting over. I was leaving California. I was like 27, 26 years old. And I was going to go finish college. I had had a couple years of college, but had never finished, and I had to finish college before I could go to seminary. Seminary required 4 years of college before you could go to seminary. So I had to finish college. So I went to Reformed Bible College in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is now Kuiper College. And that's where I met Carol. And this week we had celebrated 42 years of being married. I met Carol at Reformed Bible College. She was a student there. So I started writing again in my diary the minute I got to Grand Rapids. And I started writing again. And I haven't stopped since. I just like to write. I don't consider myself a professional writer. As you all know, I can't pronunciate. I don't know English grammar. I don't really know even how to read, but I'm a bookworm. So this is like Friday Reads. I was going to make a video showing all the, the other day, Carol and I went out to do something. What was it? Oh, it was on our anniversary, which was the 19th, which I think was a Wednesday or a Thursday. And we went to thrift stores. Well, first I went to the thrift store in the morning because I was going to go to the grocery store and get some food items, and I went to Goodwill before I went to Family Fair grocery store, and they had all kinds of books. I think I bought 13 books that morning. So it was all stuff I collected. As you all know, I've been dehauling. I'm still dehauling. We got in contact with the guy who's building our bookcases. He'll have 4 made on the first week of June, and those will be installed. Also, I got good news is that I got a letter yesterday from the local library, the Herrick District Public Library. They're going to open up the Book Nook, the used bookstore, in August. And they're going to have a giant used book sale at the library. So, and also the governor here in Michigan lifted, everything's going to be opened up, if all goes according to plan, in July. So everything will be back open. Of course, I'm sure they'll be still wearing a mask and social distancing and washing your hands. But hopefully, when we got the letter, they also we renewed our Friends of the Library membership, but we became patrons of the Friends of the Library, a more step up from just general membership. And we also, they had a little form that we will be volunteers. We want to volunteer back at the Book Nook. And Carol, since she's retired, we're going to do it together. We're going to volunteer at the Book Nook together, and we're going to help set up the giant used book sale in August, if all goes according to plan. So that's kind of exciting. I kind of missed the Book Nook as I was dehauling through all the books and sorting out and determining what to keep and what to take to the Gateway Center, the Holland Rescue Mission, and the Blue Stockings bookstore. I realized how many good books over the years I had gotten at the Book Nook, the library used bookstore. And I had been volunteering there over 10 years. Every year they had a giant Friends of the Library used book sale. I got a lot of books. And one thing I wanted to mention, that someone made a comment that if I'm a Christian, why have I spent so much money on books if Christians are supposed to be not materialistic? And I got kind of hot under the collar because 95% of the books that I own, I bought used. I didn't buy any new. I can't afford new books. Anybody out there who's a bookworm knows if you go to a regular retail bookstore, books cost $25, $30. And that's, to me, is too much money for a book. Now, I will confess, I'll spend that much money on a good Christian book. I spent $80 on these a piece. So it's just that I don't really see that many secular books that I'm willing to spend $30 on. Now I do. But majority of the books in our library, even my wife's library, are used books that we bought at Goodwill. The money goes to help people who are in need. We buy books at Bibles to Mexico, which supports missionaries in Mexico. We buy books at Action House, which feeds the poor, provides clothing and furniture and other things. Salvation Army, which helps the poor. All this money goes to charities. So my wife, she says we're just supporting the community and programs and things that help people who are in need. So it's like you're supporting good things. No, it's not saying it's bad to support your local retail bookstore or independent bookstore. We should. But here in Holland, Michigan, there is no independent. Well, there's Blue Stockings. And that's why we've been giving books to Blue Stockings for in-store credit. But as far as what I'm reading on a Friday, I got this book in the mail the other day. This is Fire and Knowledge, Fiction and Essays by Peter Nassas. He's a Hungarian writer. This is translated out of Hungarian by Imre Goldstein. I came across him. I have his novel, The Book of Memories, which was translated out of Hungarian. And I came across this in my reading on that book by Brian Delian on essayism. And I've been reading, once again, Life in Bitters by Josep, translated from the Catalan by Peter Bush. So I've been reading these, and I got this book in the mail the other day too, a new, what do you call these books? New York Review Books Classics. This is the new translation of Reflections of a Nonpolitical Man by Thomas Mann. So I've been looking at I finished the prologue of this, so I've been reading this. And I got another book in the mail I don't think I've shown. I got this last week. This is a novel by Rupert, Thomson, Dreams of Believing. I had another novel of his called The Book of Revelation, which is not on the Bible, but it was a novel, and I dehauled it. I gave it away. But I came across this. My wife was at our sister-in-law's. She had in her condo neighborhood, they had a big, huge garage sale, condo sale. You know, everybody from the condos put stuff out, and Carol went over there, and she found this book for me, which I was absolutely pleased. This is one of the books I've wanted for a long, long time. This is The Americans, Photographs by Robert Frank, Introduction by Jack Kerouac. This is a very famous photo book in the 60s, and I've always wanted it, and Carol found it for $1. And I had bought last year a biography on Robert Frank, The Art and Life of Robert Frank, American Witness by R.J. Smith. So I was very pleased that Carol found this for $1, and she brought it home for me yesterday. And so I got that. She said, also, I'm not going to show you all the used books I got at thrift stores, but one I found was this one, When Nietzsche Wept, a novel of obsession by Irvin D. Yalom. And I had just read this. I had it in paperback, and I don't know how far I got in this, but I had been reading it a couple of months ago, and then I found at Bibles to Mexico a hardback. And this came out in 1992. So I was kind of pleased to find a hardback when I had the paperback and I had been reading it. So that's what I've been reading. This is Friday Reads. Like I said, I got a huge stack of used books down in the lower level. Been writing in my diary as far as what I did read a little bit last night of The Life of Jesus Christ, Part 1, Volume 2, Chapters 41-92 by Ludolph of Saxony. I don't know, it's like since we've been dehauling and going through the library, my whole life has just been disrupted. My flow, my rhythm, my structure. I just feel kind of out of it. I think it's also because of the wedding anniversary coming up, which was now past. Next month, all our family's going to be here except for Hannah, our son's, Josiah's wife. She'll be back in Washington. She's due to have her baby in August. Hannah is. I think it's in August. So Josiah and Marika will be here. Here's the little girl, and Beth and Andy and Louisa, Margaret, Jack, and Nora will be here. And then down the street is our oldest son, Caleb and Emily, with Josephine and little Coralie, and their little dog Ollie. Will all be together end of June. And so then there's my birthday coming up in August. I'll be 69. So all these things, all this disruption, all these major things going on, I just feel kind of just, I don't know what's coming and what's going. I just feel kind of just really out of it. I'm always exhausted. I think I'm just kind of depressed maybe. I don't know. Melancholy. So yeah, writing in my diary, reading my books. I really like the new Arab Strap CD, When the Days Get Dark. And I planted all the wildflower seeds. My wife and I, we planted some more seeds yesterday. Sunflowers and, was it cosmos? Little flowers. So we have to water every day now because it's so hot and we haven't had any rain. We're going to have a drought condition pretty soon. So we're watering the plants. Everything's been blooming. It's just incredible. Everything's just... My wife said this morning when she got back from her morning walk that everything's just growing super fast right now due to the hot and warm weather. And it's kind of muggy. So I stopped my rambling. Hope you had a good reading week, that you have a good reading weekend. I thank you for the comments. And yeah, not much else to report. I'm just praying that the Lord will give me grace just to keep going, that He will forgive me of my sins, that He will not forsake me. That's one thing I always fear, being forsaken of God and being given over to my sinful flesh. I don't want to walk according to flesh. I want to walk according to the Spirit. I want to be a son of God. I don't want to be a backslider. I don't want to be lukewarm. I want to be on fire for God. I want to love Jesus and not myself. But sometimes I wonder, I'm just so cold and dead spiritually. So once again, I hope you're all doing well. Until next time, bye.